The following is an exclusive presentation of Turner Sports. In 1998, cable television's exclusive host for the 18th Olympic Winter Games from Nagano, Japan, and the 4th Goodwill Games from New York City.
It's been a big weekend for the Braves starting pitchers. Friday night, Greg Maddux dueled with Alan Dennis, throwing 8 scoreless innings. Saturday belonged to John Smoltz, who shined both on the mound and at the plate as the Braves blew out the Cards. Last night, Tom Glavine returned to the rotation and threw a complete game, allowing only 1 earned run. Tonight, Denny Nagel looks to turn the trick as he aims for win number 7. Braves look to sweep the Cards next on the Superstation. Hello again, everybody. Along with Joe Simpson, Skip Carey, welcoming you to another night of Atlanta Braves baseball from Turner Field, where the Braves will try to sweep the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals not a bad ball club, Joe, and they're getting good pitching, but they're banged up a little bit, and all that pitching's not doing them much good.
No, they're getting good pitching, especially from their starters, Skip. In the last 2 weeks, they've just been pitching in some bad luck. They're not getting a lot of run support. But over the last 13 games, they've got an ERA under 3, and they've got a losing record, and that's what's been holding them back. I guess if there's a silver lining to their pitching cloud right now, it's the fact that they're still only 4 games back in the Central Division. They really haven't fallen out of sight over there. And when they get everybody healthy, it's going to be a very formidable ball club again. And tonight, a formidable right-hander, Todd Stottlemyre, will try to avoid the sweep against the Braves. And he is a tough customer. He's a guy that likes situations like these. He always responds to challenges, and he's not afraid to knock a few guys off the plate. We'll see what happens tonight.
And Denny Nagel, who pitched perhaps his best game as a Brave against the Cardinals in St. Louis, will pitch against them tonight. Back with the starting lineup, play-by-play story right after this.
Atlanta Braves baseball, brought to you by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who remind you that fresh beer tastes better. And now, introducing you, Born on Dating. It's the day your bud was born. Is your beer fresh? And by the 62,000 professionals at Delta Airlines, who proudly put you on top of the world.
Here's the extra strength Tylenol starting lineup for Tony La Russa tonight. Royce Clayton will lead it off tonight. Danny Schaefer moves up to the 2-hole. Ron Gant will bat third, then Ray Langford the cleanup hitter. Michael Franklin gets a start in right field. John Mabry's at first base. Bottom third of the order, Mike DeFelice, Mike Gallego, and Todd Stottlemyre. So a few changes in there for Tony La Russa tonight. For the Braves, no changes, with the exception of the pitcher, Denny Nagel, who's on the mound for his 10th start of the year. He is 6-0, a 3.51 ERA. You can see he's been getting a lot of help. The Braves are 8-1 in his first 9 starts overall. He beat the Cardinals back on May 5th. Beat them 2-1, 8 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Now on to something that's very noticeable tonight. The umpiring crew. This was Bob Davidson's turn to call balls and strikes tonight. He is not here tonight. Greg Bonet, for the 2nd time in this series, will be calling balls and strikes. He had the 13-inning game on Friday night, but conspicuous by his absence. I'm sure the league, Skip, will say he's on vacation, but isn't it ironic that Bob Davidson not here tonight?
Probably a blessing for everybody involved, really. But we don't know what has transpired, if anything, and never will. Royce Clayton will lead it off. And Nagel delivers. Swung on, and a fly ball into right field. Pretty well hit, but Tucker is there waiting. He puts it away. This is the first night that we've got a typical Georgia summer evening. It's hot and muggy here. There were showers in the area throughout the afternoon. It will be interesting to see if it affects the way the ball carries here this evening.
I, on the other hand, would like to know what the league is, what the reason for Bob Davidson not being here is. I'd really like to hear from the league if it's because of the incident or if it's because he's actually on vacation.
I don't believe that that information will be forthcoming.
You don't think anybody will let anyone know?
They never have. Danny Schaefer takes a strike on the outside corner, 0-1. Schaefer at 233. No homers, 2 RBI. Fastball outside. 1-1 the count. We're just underway in Atlanta. Let up is outside. 2-1 now. Ron Gant on deck. He hit a monster home run here last night against Tom Glavine, who pitched a brilliant ball game. A little bit high, I guess. 3-1. So Nagel falls behind. He wanted that pitch, but Greg Bonet said no.
And he hasn't walked many guys lately. Just 2 walks in his last 26 innings pitched.
Fly ball down the right side, foul. You know, the other thing, again, we don't know, we're flying blind here, but they switched the umpires around so much. Remember, they used to travel in crews? It's not that way so much anymore. Guys are flying hither, thither, and yon, I guess because of their vacation schedule. 3-2 pitch. Again, pop foul back. Count stays the same.
Greg Bonet did a great job behind the plate Friday night in that long game. And as you might remember, he was very generous with the outside part of the plate. Gave Maddox and Alan Bennis a lot of leeway on the outside corner.
Not that much leeway, though, and it's a walk. Schaefer is aboard with 1 out. And Ron Gant will be the batter. He's at 226. 7 homers, 23 runs batted in. Padres beat the Reds 13-6 today. Montreal won again. They beat the Dodgers 2-1. Mets 4-3 over Colorado. Cubs beat San Diego 15-4, and Houston leads the Phillies 2-0 after 2. Did Andy Ashby get hurt tonight, did I hear? Had to leave because of his elbow? Wow, he just signed a new deal, too. Hope it's nothing serious. Runner at first, 1 out. There's that outside corner Joe was talking about. 0-1. The hitters will not get overly upset if the umpire is consistent on that outside corner, and that's what Bonet was the other night here.
Yeah, they barked a little bit early, and then when they realized that that was the way it was going to be, then the argument stopped.
You just make your little adjustment. The 0-1 pitch. Downstairs, evens it up, a ball and a strike. Crowd of 32, 35,000 on hand. Coca-Cola Pavilion getting close to opening up here.
A mosaic Coke bottle being constructed out in left field.
Rumor has it we're going to do the talk show from the bottom of that Coke bottle.
It'll be great.
Oh, yeah, that'll just be wonderful. 1-1 the count.
Bottom of a bottle?
Yeah, but 2 balls and a strike, a little low. A lot of people told me that's where I'd wind up.
That bottle's being constructed out of baseball equipment. A lot of baseballs, a lot of catching equipment, masks, cleats, bats, balls. Pretty sharp.
I may have to wear a mask to do that talk show. The 2-1 pitch. Swung and popped up on the right side. Tucker comes on. He waits. 2 out. So both right-hand hitters have flied to the off-field against Nagel. Here's Ray Langford. Langford 8 out of 29 against Denny, a home run included. Some night when Nagel's not pitching, we'll call Steve Bedrosian and get both of them up here and not tell the fans in advance, and they can do all their sound effects while we're doing the game. What do you think?
I don't know if there'd be enough time in 9 innings.
They are really something.
They can entertain you on the bus. I know that.
Runner at first, 2 out. Snap throw to first, runner back.
Interesting how Tony La Russa has put his lineup together tonight with Danny Schaefer playing third base and batting second. Delano DeShields getting a night off.
They really miss Brian Jordan, don't they? Pop foul. He hits the ball the other way.
He hits left-handers well and has for the last 2 years. Denny Nagel, on the other hand, it's odd, but he has had more trouble with left-handers than he has right-handed hitters. Lefty's hitting .294 against him. Right-handers .243.
That bulging disc thing, is there anything they can do for that, or is it just rest and you hope it goes away?
I don't know. But I would bet that if you could come up with something, then you'd be set.
Upstairs, 1-1. Walton County Little League is here tonight. We also have groups from Data General and Anheuser-Busch. Walton County Little League paraded on the field prior to the game. That's always a thrill for the youngsters. That painting of the Chop House is just the same. Nobody's moving. They're still packed out there.
I think you're right, though. I think you're exactly right. I think it's a mural.
You sound surprised, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it. The 1-1. Oh, boy. Must have been upstairs. Denny really wanted that pitch. 2 balls and a strike. I think this umpiring crew is going to stay here tomorrow and Wednesday as well. This is a good group, but familiarity in this game sometimes breeds contempt. That's why they don't station them with you all year long. 2-2 the count. In the American League, only 1 game tonight. Seattle at Anaheim later. Anaheim got Tony Phillips back to Roswell.
Yeah, how about that deal? One thing that came out of that ejection the other night by Bobby Cox by Bob Davidson, though, was Bobby being very remorseful about it the next day, talking about how it was not a good time to do that.
Did he go? No. Full count.
He said the score was such at that moment when it was 11-2, where he said, I should not have done that and shouldn't have taken that big an issue with it, because when the score's like that, it makes you look bad to the other team. And he said, I was wrong.
That whole thing was strange. 11-2 ball game, and all of a sudden World War III breaks out. Runner goes, pitch misses, 2 on, 2 out, and Nagel uncharacteristically has trouble in the first. He's walked 2. He had walked just 11 in 59 innings coming in.
Let's take a look at that pitch, talking about Bonet in the corners. And again, maybe just a little bit too far off the plate. And because he walked Schaefer, maybe Bonet not as generous for Denny here in the early going.
And also Javi sort of snatched at the ball and brought it back. That doesn't help either. Micah Franklin is the batter. The youngster who came up out of Louisville, where he hit .242, but with 8 home runs. He's hit 2 already for the Cardinals, 1 against us. And that's outside and nowhere near. John Mabry would be next. They're 2 out in the inning. Montreal comes to call tomorrow, so we'll have it for you at 7:35, a 7:40 game. Terrell Wade against Dustin Hermanson. Then on Wednesday afternoon, Greg Maddux and Jim Bollinger. There's a strike over the outside corner. It's 1-1. Franklin, since coming up, hitting a torrid .364, 2 solo home runs to his credit. Nagel's 1-1 pitch about to be made. The Braves play him just about straight away. There's a strike at the knees. A ball and 2 strikes.
This guy's a strong hitter. He's got some good bat speed. He's already hit a couple of home runs for them. And in the absence of Brian Jordan, who you mentioned earlier, he might be some tonic for them on some spot starts. Drive in some runs, give them a little offensive production, and help some of these starting pitchers.
The 1-2 pitch. He stays alive, fights it off, hits it foul into the terrace level. Count stays 1-2. The runners lead. Schaefer from second, Langford from first. Inning over. Franklin caught looking. Pitch came in on his hands, and the inning is over. No hits, hits, no runs, no errors, 2 left. Bottom of the first, no score.
We go to the bottom half of the first inning. Here's the Braves starting lineup tonight in the last game of this series against the Cardinals. Lofton, Tucker, and Jones here in the first inning. Fred McGriff still the cleanup hitter. Brian Klesko, then Javi Lopez. Bottom third of the order has Mark Lemke, Jeff Lauser, and Denny Nagel. Here are the changes for the Cardinals defensively. In the outfield, Micah Franklin gets the start in right field. Danny Schaefer stays at third for the injured Gary Gaetti. Mike Gallego gets the start at second base tonight, giving Delano DeShields the night off. Mike DeFelice is back behind the plate, and on the mound, Todd Stottlemyre, 31 years old, 6'3", 200 pounds, out of Yakima, Washington. He has been terrific on the road. He has struggled at home, and that's not so surprising. Last year, 8-4 on the road.
And he deals a fastball high and outside. He's already hit 4 batters. He doesn't mind coming in on you. In fact, that's part of his game. He's a tough competitor and a quick worker. 1-1. Lofton 7 out of 20 against him, most of that in the American League when Stottlemyre pitched with Toronto and Oakland.
Fastball, curveball, slider, change, high and tight.
Downstairs, 2-1.
I remember last year John Smoltz bounced one up there that made him skip the rope a little bit. Next inning out, Stottlemyre dusted Smoltz and then looked at him and said, "Are we even?"
Yeah, let's go from here. 3-1 the count. Lofton 4th in the league in hitting. Came up on Clayton. He's going to have to hurry now. Can't make the play. See how they score. It'll be an error on Clayton. A tough hop for him. But then he compounded the felony by bouncing the throw over there.
Good hustle by Lofton, too, because once he saw Clayton struggling, he never slowed down. And something real smart, when Lofton goes by the bag, he looks back over his right shoulder to see how far the ball gets away from Mabry. If it scoots too far away, he knows he can take second. Watch right here. He's looking to see where the ball goes. And then he saw Pat Corrales pointing at the bag, so no need to even make a turn.
You make the turn, your history. Here's Michael Tucker. He swings and skies one foul, 0-1. Joe Simpson, Skip Carey with you from Turner Field in Atlanta. And Joe, we can say whatever we want tonight. Because Ted Turner, our boss, is here, president of Turner Sports. Harvey Schiller is here. They're not watching.
Don't think they'd hear about it?
No, you don't think anybody's telling us, do you? No. 0-2 the count. Who would do such a thing? The pitch. Swung, hit hard, foul over by the Atlanta dugout.
Boy, don't be afraid to turn on one Michael Tucker. That ball was biting right in on him. Good thing that screen was up there.
0-2 the count. Michael has a 6-game hitting streak, working left to first. He reaches out and serves it into left, extending his hitting streak. First and second, nobody out. Nice job of hitting. He didn't try to pull that pitch, just served it out into left field. Very nicely. 2 on, nobody out.
Behind in the count, 0-2. Just going to guard the plate. In fact, he guarded a little bit of the right-handed batter's box with this swing. Nicely done.
So the Braves try to strike early here as the clouds gather over the stadium. High and outside, 1 ball, no strikes to Chipper. He's 3 out of 10 against this guy. 2 home runs among those 3 hits.
Stottlemyre struggled last year against Atlanta, was 0-3 against him in the regular season, but did beat them in Game 2 of the NLCS. That was the good news. The bad news in the NLCS was that he wound up with a 12.38 ERA because he lost his other start in the NLCS, and then in one of those last games, I can't remember if it was 6 or 7, he was also working in relief and got ripped a little bit.
3 balls, no strikes. Braves perhaps headed toward a monster inning here, but they haven't gotten anything yet. 3-0 the count. Fred McGriff waits on deck. Will they turn Chipper loose here? Looked like he was taking all the way. It's 3-1. He'll be swinging here if he gets one to his liking.
Generally speaking, Todd Stottlemyre in these situations is not one of those guys that tries to trick you. He might try to put it in a good spot, but mostly hard stuff.
Swung on and a high drive into left field. Back goes Gant. Back goes Gant. He looks up. 3-0 Atlanta. That's 5 for Chipper and 32 RBIs. And you're right, Joe. Hard stuff it was, but harder going out.
This is what plagued him in the NLCS in one of his starts. He got behind early in the game. I think it was 7 runs in his first 35 pitches he threw in the ball game. And Chipper does the same thing to Todd Stottlemyre tonight. Good start for Atlanta.
Here's Fred. 3-0 Atlanta. Fast strike right through there. 0-1. The 5th home run given up by Stottlemyre this year. The league hitting just .227 against him coming into this game. Down and in, a ball and a strike. The Cardinals head home after this game to take on the Pirates. Good pitch. Let up. Split the plate, a ball and 2 strikes. And McGriff strikes out. 1 away. Ryan Klesko, the batter. By the way, that home run by Chipper Jones, the first that was not a solo home run. This one came with 2 apiece. Klesko 2 out of 9 against the Cardinal right-hander. You see his numbers on the year. Boy, a mighty swing, but he came up empty. 0-1. The wind is blowing toward left field tonight. It may have aided Chipper's ball, but it was well hit. On the corner. 0-2. But a good start for Atlanta in any event. They lead 3-0. 1 out, nobody aboard. Came in on him. 1-2.
Ryan Klesko is Dusty Rhodes' favorite Brave. Told me the other night. Saw him at Little League Park. The American Dream thinks Ryan Klesko is the greatest.
He would be a grappler?
Yes, he is.
Well, I'm sure Ryan is happy to know that. He's so dismayed by it, in fact, that he was unable to swing. 2 out.
Oh, he was overwhelmed. Nice recovery by Todd Stottlemyre. 2 straight whiffs of left-handed hitters and a good breaking ball there.
What do wrestlers do at Little League games? Body slam those little kids?
You don't see any umpires making any bad calls on their sons.
Good. Yeah, I understand. Here's Javi. Fouls it back 0-1.
Come to think of it, there's some Little League coaches that toe the mark too. And that's good.
Then they should have wrestlers attend all Little League games, because the coaches are a lot more trouble than the kids. And the parents are a lot more trouble than the coaches. 1-1 the count. And looks sharp as attack now. 1-2.
Getting his breaking ball over and getting ahead in the count with it.
He wishes now he'd have thrown it on that 3-2 pitch to Chipper, but that's easy to say now. And just like that, he strikes out the side, but not before the Braves scored 3 runs on 2 hits. No errors. Check it, 1 error, and nobody left. We go to the 2nd inning. 3-0 Atlanta. We We go to the second inning. John Mabry will lead it off. Mabry off to a slow start. He's hitting .240. He's 2 out of 5, however, against Denny Nagel, a home run included.
Looking for his first hit in this series. 0 for 11.
That's snooze, too. He's a good hitter. He was a .300 batter last year for the Cards. And then he got away with a pitch upstairs that time. 0-1 the count.
He won't be 0 for 11 long with pitches up there.
Houston now 4-0 over the Phillies, the only National League game underway. That's in the third inning. Pop to the off field. Ryan Klesko calls for it. And whoops. Makes the catch. I told you about that wind. It's playing a little tricks with the ball. One away. That Houston-Philadelphia score on our Joe Simpson scoreboard here on Braves TV. I started to do the radio thing.
Feel free to.
Sure. Oh, that would be nice. They would tell on us about that. Mike DeFelice is the banner. Fouls it back. I said that about we can say whatever we want. Every producer in the company took out a pencil. One out, nobody on. Check swing. Did he go? No.
Just watching the Cardinals take infield practice before the game. This guy has really got an arm. He had the infielders handcuffed on just about everything he was throwing around the bases.
There's a strike at the knees on the inside corner.
They also had a couple of extra guys taking batting practice today.
Yeah, you told me about that. A couple of old-timers, huh? 2-2.
Tony La Russa took a few hacks, and so did Dave Duncan. Dave Duncan hit about 5 or 6 in the seats. He can still pole.
If Tony had done that, that would really be big news.
Yeah, would have.
That was not his stock and trade as a player. The 2-2 pitch. High fly foul to right.
I had an interesting conversation with Dave Duncan before the game on a pregame radio interview about pitching coaches predominantly being former pitchers, but he's a former catcher, and what the difference was in theory and philosophy. And he said, you know, when I get a guy at this level, it's not my job really to teach him how to throw a pitch.
A high pop, short. Well, Fred McGriff will handle it easily. It doesn't make short right field. 2 down.
He says, you know, if they don't know how to throw a certain pitch by this level, they shouldn't even be up here. He said, but my job is to get the most out of their ability that they have that has gotten them this far, and then talk about how to get hitters out and theories and strategies. And I thought that was a very good perspective, because from a mechanic standpoint, he doesn't have a set way to do things. He's caught a lot of different pitchers and different styles over the years.
Mike Gallego takes a ball. Yeah, any pitching coach or hitting coach who tries to handle everybody, or anybody in a management position really, who tries to handle everybody the same way is doomed to failure, I think.
I agree.
You'll help some guys, and other guys you'll ruin. Because everybody's personality is different. 1-1 the count. High pop, short right field. Lemke wants it. And a very easy inning for Denny Nagel. He gets an uno dos tres. We go to the bottom of the second inning. 3-0 Atlanta.
Braves on top as we go to the bottom half of the second inning here at Turner Field. Now let's take a look at the Hardy's leaderboard. In tonight's category is the 8th spot in the batting order in the National League, and the Braves at the top of the list thanks largely to Jeff Blauser, who's hitting .426 when he's in that spot in the order. Quite a disparity there between first and second, too. Montreal, by the way, will be in town tomorrow.
That was a unique leaderboard. Very unique, Phil. Nice one. Mark Lemke leads off the bottom of the second and takes a strike. It's 0-1. And 2 the count. We'll have the Aflac trivia question for you shortly, and later Pete and Don will have the Budweiser game summary. All sorts of features coming your way tonight. And on 3 pitches, Lemke takes a hike, and that's 4 straight struck out by Todd Stottlemyre since the home run by Chipper Jones.
I'd say there's been a quick turnaround after the home run. Fastball blistered the outside corner, throwing everything for strikes.
Here's the aforementioned Blauser, who got the big hit in last night's game. Good curveball. Boy, he's a pitching machine right now. Blauser batted only once against Stottlemyre last year, then was injured. That's in there as well. 0-2. He is.
Breaking balls
Cooking.
for strikes.
Yeah.
Beginning of a count can be mighty deadly.
The 0-2 pitch, and he starts and then stops. On talk shows around town, you hear people say, well, the reason Jeff Blauser's having a good year, it's the last year of his contract. A little bit inside, 1 and 2. If people would stop and think about what they say, they'd realize how asinine a statement that is. What did he do the last 2 years? Deliberately have bad years?
Deliberately get hurt?
Yeah. Just missed 2 and 2.
I know one thing's for sure. All those people that pop off in the newspapers and on the radio with that comment better not address Mr. Blauser face to face with it.
Well, you know they wouldn't. The 2-2. Look out. There goes the bat. And that is 5 strikeouts in a row. He did not do that on purpose either. 2 down. Denny Nagel, the batter.
Like took a little bit off his fastball on that one. And almost took Bobby Dew's hat off.
You know, even if you just dealt with the money part of it, Jeff Blauser would get a more lucrative contract next time around from whoever he gets it with, be it the Braves or someone else, if he'd have had 3 good years in a row rather than
certainly
hopefully 1. So
certainly.
I mean, it's just silly. People who say that are showing their ignorance. A little chopper, at least that breaks up the strikeout string, and the inning is quickly over. So Stottlemyre's strikeout string ends at 5. No hits, no errors, no runs, nobody left on base. At the end of 2, 3-0 Atlanta.
Fans, this telecast is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by the Atlanta National League Baseball Club and is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, retransmission of the pictures or descriptions of this game without the express written consent of the Atlanta National League Baseball Club is prohibited. Some Little Leaguers here tonight from the Walton County Little League. Had their pregame parade around the field.
Sorry, I didn't know that you were finished with the disclaimer. I sort of drifted off there. Todd Stottlemyre will lead off the 3rd inning. 3-2-0 for the Braves. 0-0-1 for the Redbirds. Stottlemyre, pretty good hitter, better than his 143 average would indicate. He takes a strike. He bats left-handed, which exposes his pitching elbow and arm to the pitcher. Foul tipped. 0-2.
He was having some fun in St. Louis when the pitchers were hitting, switch hitting, and he hit some balls in the seats right-handed. I'm surprised he doesn't try that.
I am too, because every time up there, if a pitch gets away, the breaking ball misses outside. A ball and 2 strikes. They're in the 5th now. Houston 4-0 over the Phillies. All the other action was this afternoon in the National League. Stottlemyre is out of there. Had a weak hack at that one. 2nd strikeout for Nagel. First out here in the 3rd inning. Here's Royce Clayton. He flied to right his first time.
Denny's lowered his ERA considerably over the last 6 starts. He's gone from 5.29 to 3.5. I agree with you, Skip, what you said earlier on the opening comments. I think his best outing as a Brave came in St. Louis.
I think he feels that way, too. He had it all going, and he looks pretty good tonight after a little bit of a slow start, walking 2 in the first. The Expos are in for 2. Then we head west, play 3 in Los Angeles, 2 in San Diego. And we're not televising Sunday, I don't believe.
That's correct.
Why is that? Do we have another sporting event on? Do we know? Automobile race, okay. 1-1 the count. The pitch. Little chopper right back where it came from. Good play, Nagel. 2 down. And Danny Schaefer, who walked his first time, will be the batter. Schaefer 2 out of 4 against Nagel in his career. Maybe why he's in there tonight. Gaetti is still a little gimpy with that ankle he twisted here the other evening. The wind and the pitch. Curve strike 0-1. And then after that road trip, when we go to Los Angeles and San Diego, broken bat tapped to third. Well, we'll tell you about that later. So to first, and the inning is over. 1, 2, 3, nothing doing. Nagel is still not allowed a hit. We go to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Braves on top 3-0.
We'll give you an update on the scoreboard, the Office Depot scoreboard in the National League. These finals: San Diego beat Cincinnati 13-6. Montreal over LA 2-1. Jeff Juden now 4-0. New York beat Colorado. John Olerud hit his 7th home run. Chicago clobbered San Francisco. Scott Service hit a homer, and as Skip told you, Houston leading Philadelphia. Only one American League game. That's tonight at Anaheim. Seattle visits the Angels. The Angels won 7 in a row.
Kenny Lofton, who reached on an air and scored a run his first time, looks at a pitch downstairs, and the bottom of the 3rd gets underway. Braves on top 3-0 on a Chipper Jones circuit clout. Tried to pull that one and just missed a double down the first base line. Down on the farm last night, Richmond beat Ottawa 15-5. Kenny Carlisle the winner. Ed Giovanola 3 for 4. Robert Smith had a home run. He's 2 for 4. And Damon Hollins 2 for 5. He hit his 6th home run. Just a little bit inside. 2-1. Greenville beat Huntsville 11-6. Pedro Swan 2 for 5. His 6th home run. He has a 9-game hitting streak. Base hit left field for Lofton. And a good start to the Atlanta 3rd. Durham lost 12-5 to Lynchburg. And Augusta beat Macon 8-6. That's what happened in the Braves minor league system last night. Michael Tucker, the batter, saw a lady with a sign out in right field. Tucker Town. Something like that.
Yeah, it is good. He's got a magic wand. Part of it by design too. The way he works when he gets behind in the count.
Row to first, runner back. We could have Lofton Lane and Cisco Corner and all sorts of
Andrews Alley.
What are we going to do with Grafamino? Well, thank you, ma'am.
Very nice. So good, in fact, it got you on TV.
That's right. And we had nothing to do with it. 1-1 the count. The 1-1 pitch. High and outside, 2 balls and a strike. Lofton not doing much running lately. He's a little gun shy, I think, because he's been nipped so many times.
Well, the Braves were playing the Marlins and the Pirates back-to-back, and with Charles Johnson and Jason Kendall, it's tough to run on those guys. And as I told you, DeFelice has a gun here for the Cardinals, too.
Look out. Boy, another one fouled over by the Atlanta dugout. 2-2 the count.
That's almost a carbon copy of the one he pulled in the first inning. Pitch that breaks in on him. They have the target inside. Actually, that one had perhaps a little part of the plate.
2-2. He's trying to pull the ball in that hole on the right side. The old break contact with the rubber and bluff to first trick is once again unsuccessful.
Cardinals have done that a lot this series. Just to try to perhaps break the rhythm of a runner trying to get a big lead.
That time he got him. That's 6 strikeouts for Stottlemyre. First out of the inning, and here's Chipper.
Good pitch away. Fastball with a little tail on it at the end. And he couldn't quite get a piece of that one. Remember, the base hit he got in the first inning was off the end of the bat to left field on a pitch kind of like that.
1 ball, no strikes to Chipper. Kenny Lofton now with 36 runs scored is second only to Larry Walker in the league. He leads the league in hits with 67. Off-speed pitch. 1-1. Braves have nobody in the top 10 in RBIs, but when you look up and down the lineup, you see great balance. A lot of guys right around 20, a few more, a few less. Chipper knocked back off the plate.
Yeah, the home run totals are down, but the stolen bases are up when you compare it to last year.
Larry Walker already 121 total bases.
Runs scored are the same. Average is better, so they're getting more guys on base.
Dion with 25 stolen bases already. Leads in that department.
Well, they've got that going for them.
About it, isn't it, so far?
Weren't the Reds supposed to have a news conference this afternoon? Did you hear anything about that?
No, I didn't. Oh, chopper foul.
I'd heard something. They were supposed to have a press conference call for noon or 1 o'clock, and I never heard anything about it. Maybe it never really occurred.
Maybe Shotzi's pregnant or something.
That would be news.
What kind of dog?
I don't think Shotzi's
got a chance.
No.
The 2-2 pitch. Runner at first, 1 out. There's that nonsense again. Walks, Barry Bonds 39, Gary Sheffield 38, Todd Hundley 30. Lead the league there. The 2-2 pitch. Runner at first, 1 out. Downstairs, full count. I would imagine he'll be running on this 3-2 pitch. 3-0 Atlanta, our score. In the first, Lofton reached on an air. Tucker blooped a single to left, and Chipper Jones homered to left.
I guess they're just going to give Kenny second.
Fouled away.
I mean, what you're basically saying when Mabry was standing behind him is that you're really not going to throw over, and if you do, it's just going to be a lollipop throw over there, so Kenny doesn't have to worry about that. He can lean all he wants to second. I realize there's a left-handed hitter at the plate, but you're basically saying you're not going to try to keep Kenny from going.
He gets a tremendous jump. Doesn't matter. It's ball 4. He would have stolen that base. He could have stolen it standing up had he wanted to. So the Braves have 2 on with 1 out. That's the first walk for Stottlemyre in the game. Fred McGriff was a strikeout victim his first time, and he stands in there now. They're still working on that giant Coke model out there now, Joe. The stretch. High and away. 1 ball, no strikes.
Wayne Long, director of Braves marketing, out there trying to figure out where some other baseball gear goes.
Was Wayne in there?
Uh-huh.
Double play ball. 4, 6, and 3. And just like that, the inning is over. 1 hit, no runs, no errors, 1 left. At the end of 3-0 Atlanta. Before we go to the fourth inning, it's time for the Aflac trivia question. Name the 3 Cardinals, and there are 3 different men, to win consecutive Most Valuable Player awards in the years 1942, 1943, and 1944. We'll have the answer for you later in our telecast. We go to the fourth. Ron Gant will lead it off, and here to tell you about it, Joe Simpson.
Is that the post-Gas House gang?
Yeah, the Gas House gang was in the early 30s. 30 through 30, 35 roughly.
Can't fly to right his first time up. He's 2 for 11 in the series. Both hits were homers. Good curveball starts him.
Gas House gang's idea of a good time was to pretend they were painters and go into the banquet halls at the hotels they stayed in while the banquets are in session and start painting the wall.
And then get as far as they could and quit.
Until somebody would say, what the?
One ball, one strike. Good changeup, 1 and 2. Wouldn't you like to, just for 10 minutes, sit in the dugout with Diz and Pepper Martin and Frankie Frisch,
Joe Medwick,
talk about what's going on these days? Boy, oh boy.
Guy wrote a great book about that. I forget the name of it. I know you've read it, about going back in time to the late 1800s in baseball.
If I never get back.
Yeah, Darrell Brock, I think, is the fellow's name. Wrote it.
A ball and 2 strikes. It'll be Gant, Langford, and Franklin for the Cardinals, who trail 3-0. Slow roller to third. Chipper's got to hurry. Nice play. He was playing deep for Ron Gant. The ball didn't come up for him, so he had to pick it up right off the grass. 1 out.
We forget sometimes what a really good third baseman he is, because we talk so much about his hitting prowess, but this is a tough play on a short hop, off balance, a strike.
And Ray Langford, the hitter, he drew a walk his first time up. He's had a good series, 4 for 14 with a double and a home run. That's probably out of here. Tucker has a look-see. Gone. 3-1. He's 5 for 15 with a double and 2 home runs. And 8 on the year. And of his 8 homers, 5 have come off of left-handed pitching.
They throw the ball back. That's what all the cheering is about. It's also the second home run he's hit off Denny Nagel in his career, and he's 9 out of 30 against him. Another look. They want it down and away. They get it down and away, but not as away as they wanted it to be. And into Tuckertown it goes.
He doesn't miss many low pitches that are strikes. Micah Franklin struck out his first time up. Ray Langford's swing is so short and compact, it's like it's spring-loaded.
It's amazing he strikes out as much as he does.
He waits real well, and just, it's like at the last second, he just explodes. From up high, he waits, and then, boom, just drops the head of the bat through the strike zone. Very short, quick follow-through. Out of play. 1 and 2 the count to Franklin. First hit of the night for the Cardinals, too, by the way. In that start against the Cardinals in St. Louis, Denny went 8 innings. Gave up only 5 hits and 1 run. Did not walk a batter that night. He has walked 2 tonight, both in the first inning. Off the thumbs, and Blauser's got it. 2 down. And John Mabry comes to the plate looking for his first hit of the series. He's 0 for 12. It's like a continuation of the road trip for the Cardinals as they go home for only 2 days before going to the West Coast.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Mike Shannon was talking about that before the game. Former Cardinal and current radio broadcaster for St. Louis. He said they'll barely have time to get home and change the clothes. They go home for 2 days with Pittsburgh, then an off day Thursday, but probably travel to San Francisco on that off day. 3 days in San Francisco, 2 in Colorado before coming home for a week. There's the former Cardinal. Got a great restaurant in St. Louis, too. Good steakhouse. The 1-1 pitch is fouled out of play. 1-2 the count. Those 2-day stops in cities. I think it was Greg Maddux saying the other day. He said they wear you out because you're either just getting something out of your suitcase before you pack it up, or just loading it onto the truck. You barely have time to turn around.
Takes me back to life in the NBA years ago.
Just thinking that. 2-2 the count. Although the NBA season, half of a baseball season, at least in games played. He didn't go around. The count full now to Mabry.
It's better now because they charter virtually all the time. We never did. It was all commercial.
Payoff pitch to Mabry. Line, but right at Blauser. Mabry hitting in some bad luck there. Comes up empty. The Cardinals get a run, though, on the home run by Ray Langford. We go to the bottom of the fourth. 3-1 Braves.
Aflac question. And quickly the Aflac answer, because we're about to have baseball.
Mort Cooper had quite a year. Ryan Klesko, the first pitch back to the mound, 1 out.
Marty Marion, an Atlanta boy, went to Georgia Tech. Cardinal shortstop for many years.
I didn't know that. Stan Musial had 48 doubles in 1943 when he was the MVP. Javi Lopez struck out his first time up. In fact, after giving up a 3-run homer to Chipper Jones in the first, Todd Stottlemyre struck out 5 in a row. Good breaking ball to start the at bat of Javi Lopez.
I remember Marty Marion because I was a little kid, and I really thought he talked funny. It was a southern drawl. Little did I know I'd spend my life in good old Atlanta.
I think that says they love him. He is a crowd favorite. 2-1.
I hope somebody knows what it said, because it gets a little risky when you put up signs and you don't know what they say.
Gallego or Mabry? It's going to be Mike Gallego. 2 down.
Say pop fly.
Mark Lemke also struck out his first time up. 2 for 12 in the series. On the ground, Mabry stays down on it. Nice play. He'll take it to the bag himself, and Todd Stottlemyre has about as easy an inning as he could possibly want. Braves go mildly in the fourth, but they still lead 3-1.
NASCAR action returns to TBS this weekend. Good. Beginning Saturday at 1:05 with the Busch Grand National Car Quiz. That's not too bad. That's pretty good. 300. Then on Sunday, it's the Winston Cup Coca-Cola 600 with pre-race coverage starting at 5:35. Both races are from the Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend on the Superstation.
Nicely done.
Thanks. Same to you.
Top of the fifth, bottom third of the order for the Cardinals. DeFelice, Gallego, and Stottlemyre. DeFelice pumped out to McGriff his first time up. Denny Nagel has allowed only one hit. That was a home run to Langford. It's ahead 0-2.
Some other news, Joe. Fred Clare could be out as the Dodgers general manager. It says here if the sale to Fox is completed, there's split feeling in the Fox hierarchy about whether or not he should stay. Jeff Brantley's headed back to the disabled list.
Oh, no, really? Yeah, that's more bad news for the Reds. Out of play, still 0-2.
Well, I should amend that. It says will likely be placed back on the disabled list. And Andy Ashby is expected to go on the list as well.
Now, if you just joined us, Andy Ashby hurt his elbow. So he's out for a while for the Padres. The Braves will not see him. I would guess that they'll miss him out in San Diego. 1-2 the count. DeFelice 1 for 7 in this 4-game series. Got a piece of that one to stay alive. Tom Pagnozzi still on the disabled list. DeFelice and Schaefer splitting the catching duty for the most part. Got him. DeFelice knew it. Good breaking ball from Denny. A strikeout to start the 5th, and that's number 3 for Nagel.
Here's another look. He just froze him here. Gave up on it, and it snapped right over the inside corner. Good pitch from Nagel.
And Mike Gallego, 36 years old, steps in. He's been around. Popped to second his first time up, lays off a pitch. Among the groups that are here tonight, former Atlanta Flame hockey player Willie Plett and a group from Willie's Sports Park and Pub out in Woodstock here tonight. In the air to left. Klesko gives a little ground, but he's got a bead on it. 2 down. Willie Plett's about 6'4" and weighs about 230, 235, and I always picture him on skates and shoulder pads.
Woo, he was tough. That's a nice place. Good batting cages out there and driving range and the like.
It's a wonderful place. Pitcher Todd Stottlemyre struck out his first time up. One thing about Todd Stottlemyre, he's 2 for 15 on the year, but he's drawn 6 walks. He's got a pretty good eye up there most of the time. 0-1. A nice play by a fan. It was pretty good. One guy caught the ball and 3 people stood up and took credit for it. 1-1.
Speaking of producers.
The 1-1 pitch, a little low. Tomorrow when Montreal comes in, it'll be Terrell Wade against Dustin Hermanson. And then Greg Maddux against Jim Bullinger on the Wednesday afternoon business fan special. First pitch at 1:10.
That's one where all the middle-aged businessmen bring their daughters. I always like those afternoon tilts.
3-1 the count. Called strike 2. Stottlemyre started to first, backpedals. No comment. He may want that same pitch in the bottom half of the inning. Threw his bat at that one. Nagel had to skip out of the way. It's out of play. Still a full count.
But he got a piece of it, stayed alive. As we mentioned earlier, he's a good hitter.
And choke up on the bat a little bit this time. Full count. Line to right. Tucker got a late start. Now comes on. Can't get it. It kicks away from him, and Stottlemyre will have at least a double. He stops at second. He had such a big swing at that. I think Tucker thought the ball was hit better than it was, and he got a bad jump on it.
A hanging breaking ball, and he hit it pretty well, and Michael had it bounce off his knee. He's fortunate it didn't get all the way to the wall. His knee or his hip.
It'll go as a double all the way for Stottlemyre, his second of the year. And that brings the tying run to the plate in Royce Clayton, who has flied out and a comebacker to the mound. Good changeup, swing and a miss. Clayton 3 for 12 in the series, but all 3 of the hits came in game 1 Friday night. Slick fielding shortstop, though, to be sure. Missed with the fastball, 1-1. Family and Fair over there in the Cardinal dugout.
They'll be glad to get out of this town as well as they pitch, to have only 1 loss.
Lemke to 1 knee to glove it. Inning over. We go to the bottom half of the 5th inning. Don Sutton and Pete Van Wieren coming your way on the Superstation. Braves lead 3-1.
3-1 to score as the Braves come to bat in the bottom of the 5th inning. And the way this game has turned, Pete, I think the Braves are almost glad that Kenny Lofton didn't hit that home run leading off the game.
Yeah, Stottlemyre really has settled down after that shaky start in the first inning, which really was not all his own fault. He made that 1 bad pitch to Chipper Jones after Lofton reached on the air, and Michael Tucker had the bloop single left field. Since then, he's been tough.
Denny Nagel, about half his quota of runs yet, so Braves are going to get a few more, you know it. You can see how much Stottlemyre has settled down since that first inning. It was almost like shock treatment. It was amazing. The next 5 were struck out. He set down the next 6 before wavering a little bit in the 3rd inning, and bingo, right back in the 4th inning. A nice, easy inning. Jeff Blauser will lead it off here in the Braves half of the 5th. 3-3-0 for the Braves. A run on 2 hits and 1 error for the Cardinals. You see Blauser's actions tonight. He had the misfortune of coming to bat during that stretch when Stottlemyre was unhittable. On the ground, nice pick by Schaefer. 1 pitch, 1 out.
That's a very good play by a guy who's normally a catcher. Danny Schaefer hasn't played much third base, but he picked that one like he's been over there all his life. That was a Greg Nettles, Brooks Robinson type play.
Wouldn't you like to ask him right now which he'd rather be, 90 feet away or right behind?
And you know he'd like to smile right now.
Yeah.
I can do this anytime you ask me to.
He'll get another chance from a little bit different angle. Off balance throw. So Schaefer's getting his running in, and he's passed the agility test. 2 pitches, 2 outs.
Smile's starting to come now. He's having a little more trouble holding it back.
Give me 1 more shot.
If he has to make a play down the line in the next ball and makes it, they'll have to carry him off the field.
Well, they got Kenny Lofton coming up, and he's getting it from his bench. Getting double barrel Bennis.
Probably calling him Brooksy.
Well, he's got Kenny Lofton coming up, so you know he's got a shot at getting something over there. I know the Bennises are close. I've seen that shot of them watching the game together before. I also know that Allen all of last year used to raid Andy's closet. This ball 1. What a great job he did Friday night. That's Allen Bennis. 3rd of an inning, 1 out away from a no-hitter. 2-0 to Lofton. We had a number of people, Pete, on the Braves ball club say that's best stuff they have seen, and certainly one of the best outings they had seen.
Chipper Jones said that, and that's a real compliment coming from him.
2-0 to Lofton. Make it 3-0. If you watch Todd Stottlemyre over the course of a year, you will see games like this where he'll have 4 or 5 hitters where he just can't throw a strike or can't get anybody out, and then he may set down 9, 10, 11 in a row and striking out over half of them.
Happens inside games, not just over the course of the season. You'll have good innings Long stretch of good innings and one bad one.
3-2. What were you telling me earlier, too, about how well he pitches on the road versus at home?
And that's been true his 2 years in St. Louis.
Got him. There's a nasty hook. He has now set down 7 in a row, including Kenny Lofton on strikes here in the 5th. We've completed 5 innings. Braves lead at 3-1.
Here's tonight's Budweiser game summary. Braves getting all their runs in the first inning on a Chipper Jones 3-run homer. The Cardinals got their lone run in the 4th on a Ray Langford solo home run. The rest has been pitching. Denny Nagel and Todd Stottlemyre.
This is my 45th anniversary. I had to bring my wife to see the Braves play baseball. To see 9. They don't look real happy about it either. Schaefer, Gant, and Langford.
Make the great plays defensively. Always lead off the next inning, right?
Yep. You have a theory on that, or who told you about that?
Mark Lemke. Lemke says hitting is the fun part of the game. He says, of course, there were not 2 outs when Schaefer made those plays, but Lemke says hitting is the fun part of the game. When there are 2 outs and a ball is hit anywhere near you, you want to get up and hit, so you might make a little extra effort, make that good play.
0-1 to Schaefer. Line drive, right field. He gets the hit. Makes a couple of sparkling defensive plays and leads it off with a single. For the Cardinals, their 3rd hit of the night hits all even at 3. And here's Ron Gant. Gant has flied to right field, and he's grounded to 3rd. Gant 1 out of 14 against Denny Nagel. A couple of home runs here. Averaging .222 for the year. It's ball 1 outside. Would it have surprised you to see him take that if it had been down the middle? Strike 1?
No, because that's been the Cardinals' problems offensively. George Hendricks, their hitting coach, talking about that after they lost their 3rd in a row in this series. They're taking too many fastball strikes and always up there looking for breaking balls or changeups.
There's George.
He's trying to convince him that their thinking is a little backwards.
To right field and deep. Tucker backpedaling, but he's got a shot at it and makes the play. 1 gone for Ray Langford. Now, you and I were talking about it earlier.
He wants their hitters to be aggressive. He wants their hitters to go up there looking for fastballs and jumping on the first pitch if they get a fastball strike. And he's been very disappointed at the number of hitters in this series and the whole season so far for the Cardinals who've gone up there and taken a strike and then seem to be looking for the breaking ball or the changeup to hit.
Well, was that his theory? Or
no, well, it never has been. No, he's a very aggressive hitter, and all the hitters that he commented on, having watched played as either teammates or opponents, he said the better the hitters, the more aggressive they were at the plate.
And he played with some good ones.
Now, this guy has been aggressive, Langford.
He's has a walk and a home run tonight. He's missed 18 ball games.
But as we say that, he takes a fastball strike.
Yeah, George Hendrick played with some good hitters. Remember, he spent time with Pittsburgh. He spent time on this Cardinals ball club. He played some in California on the Angels with Rod Carew and Reggie Jackson and Brian Downing. All good hitters and all very aggressive hitters. I could see how that would frustrate a guy like him because I remember pitching against him and playing with him. He said if they look for something to hit on the first pitch, and if you get it, don't miss it. If you don't get it, take it. What's it cost you? 1 pitch. No balls and 1 strike. A little bit outside. That'll make it 1-1.
He was one of the best. Whenever he played with St. Louis, he was one of the best. If you got behind him in the count where you were going to have to throw a fastball, he never missed it. Never missed it.
He was a part of one of the funniest events that I ever saw in the dugout. George is a guy who was terribly misunderstood by a lot of people because we always called him Silent George. He in the circle of the ball club, that's inside, is 2-1, was very funny. And Wally Joyner was the first baseman. Gene Mock was the manager. And it was a day when I think it was Roger Clemens pitching. Somebody who was nasty on lefties but doubly nasty on righties in Anaheim. So Joyner fouls one off his foot. Fouled an 0-1 pitch off his foot. Had to come out of the game. Gene Mauch signals down to the far end of the dugout where George was sitting very quietly, having a nice visit with his bat and nobody else. So when Gene Mauch pointed down to George, pointed to his chest, he goes, "Me? You want me to go up there and hit with 2 strikes?" So as he walks by, he's dragging his bat. First the 2-1 pitch. Make it 3-1. He's dragging his bat, and there was a group of us sitting down near. As he walks by, he says, "Now ain't this something? Your manager's going to send me up there with 2 strikes on me, and he knows I can't hit this boy anyway." 1 pitch, U-turn. And he walked right back and he said, "See, I told you." He was great. 3 balls and 1 strike. In the air to right field. Deep, but not deep enough. Shy of the warning track. Tucker's got it. Tag. Schaefer knows better. There's some right there, Pete. We have seen Tucker do over and over, make the right throw to the right place.
That was a great pitch made by Nagel. He did not give in to Langford and throw him a 3-1 fastball. He was behind in the count 3-1. He threw him an off-speed pitch. Langford tried to wait on it, but popped it up into right field. And there's the good throw to the right place by Tucker. Well, he's a good arm.
Sure does. We weren't aware of that when the deal was made. 2 gone. And here's Micah Franklin. Struck out looking and lined to short. Doesn't get the changeup. No balls and 1 strike. Franklin is still a youngster, but he has bounced around.
It's his 5th organization. He's only been playing professionally since 1990.
Been involved in a couple of trades. Been claimed on waivers. Line drive, base hit. He keeps swinging like that, he'll stay here a while. First and second with 2 gone for John Mabry.
When you come up to a major league ball club and it's your first trip to the major leagues in 7 years, as it is for Franklin, and because of injuries you get a chance to play and your team is not hitting but you are, you might see a lot more playing time once some of the regulars get healthy. He's now 5 for 14 with a couple of home runs, and being a switch hitter, you don't have to platoon him. If he keeps hitting like that, he might just win himself an everyday spot in that lineup.
He certainly hasn't been intimidated by the Braves pitching staff.
Not at all.
Schaefer's at second, Franklin at first. Mabry hitless in 2 trips, a fly to left and a liner to short. You see his numbers, but don't expect that in September and October. He is a much better hitter than that.
Well, he's in about as deep a slump as you can be in. He's 1 for his last 28 now.
Fouls it away, and it's 0-1. By the way, of note on Langford, he flied to right. Remember a couple of hitters ago. Last year, Langford didn't have a single home run against lefties. 5 already this year. No balls, 1 strike. Nagel's breaking ball is outside. It's 1-1. Mike Bilecki starts to crank it up down in the Braves bullpen. There's Mike. What do you got Nagel's pitch count up to, Pete, after this one? Out of play. 1-2.
That was number 91.
So we're only in the 6th inning, but Denny Nagel has thrown quite a few pitches.
Bobby Cox told me before the game on pitch counts he likes to keep his pitchers at an average of about 13 pitches per inning. And if they're way ahead of that, and 13 pitches times 6 would be what, 78. So he's about 1 inning ahead of where he should be in pitch count right now.
One ball, 2 strikes to Mabry. Mabry 2 out of 7 with a home run in his career against Nagel. Outside, that'll leave it at 2-2. Stottlemyre slows it down a little bit. How about Jeff Bagwell? He got his 1,000th hit in the 6th inning tonight. It was a homer. Hit 1,001 in the 7th inning was a homer. Houston leads the Phillies 8-1. Ground ball, right side, and through. They're going to wave Schaefer home. Tucker's throw to the plate could be close, but late. An RBI single. And it's a 3-2 ball game, and you think Schaefer might have missed the plate, don't you?
Well, I think that Micah Franklin made a base running mistake down at second base. He could have gotten around to third very easily. He stopped and watched the action. Here's the base hit by Mabry, only his 2nd hit in his last 29 at-bats, his 10th RBI of the year. But Tucker was charging the ball and coming home all the way, and Franklin, I don't think I've ever seen a runner do that before. Just stop at second base and watch the play. See him?
You can see him, yep.
He's just standing there watching. Watch this. Watch Franklin, the runner at first, when he gets to second base, and he's the tying run. He just stops and watches. He never looked at his third base coach, so there's a rookie mistake right there.
So he's at second. Bobby Cox came out for a visit with Denny Nagel. The runners are Franklin at second, Mabry at first. For Mabry, only his 10th RBI of the year. 1-run ball game, 3-2. Cardinals have out-hit the Braves 5-3. This is Mike DeFelice, who's popped to third. He struck out looking. To right field, Tucker's got to hurry. Diving catch by Michael Tucker. What a play. And Tucker may have banged himself up, but he picks Mike DeFelice's pocket. Out number 3. The Cardinals get 1, leave 2 stranded. But you got to take another look at this play. Braves.
They said imports taste better. They lied.
And how does that make you feel?
Used.
First at 7:35, it'll be the Expos facing the Braves right here on the Superstation. Then beginning at 8 on TNT, it's NBA playoff action. The Bulls host the Heat in Game 1.
Yes, who would be leading off bottom of the 6th?
I told you Mark Lemke's theory, and Mark Lemke is never wrong.
And here is Michael Tucker taking ball 1. Tucker, Jones, and McGriff. Two 2-0. And that's caused his batting average to come down a little. In the air, left center field. Does he have enough to get it out? Off the wall. It's not all you can get, but it's half of all he can get. A leadoff double for Michael Tucker.
Tucker's got surprising power. We didn't know much about him when he first came over from Kansas City in that trade. He's shown us defensively that he is a very, very good outfielder. And offensively, he's got that inside-out swing, much like Kenny Lofton. He can drive a ball the other way. He can also pull a ball. But he's got extra base power. That's his 6th double. He's got 4 home runs and a couple triples this year.
And throw in 5 steals and some good base running ability. He stands at second. The Braves with a chance to increase their lead. It's a 3-2 ball game in the bottom of the 6th. And Chipper Jones will stand in. A perfect night. 3-run homer and a walk. That's to right center field. Nobody's going to get this one. It's going to be back-to-back doubles. And it's going to be 4-2 Braves. 4th RBI of the night for Chipper Jones.
He just loves hitting against Todd Stottlemyre. He has now had 12 career at-bats against Stottlemyre. He has 5 hits, including 3 home runs. He jumped on the first pitch, knee-high fastball. 4 RBIs in the night, 33 in the air, and after getting that 1 run to get to a 1-run ball game, Stottlemyre's given the run right back.
And here's Fred McGriff. McGriff frustrated in 2 trips, a strikeout, and he grounded into a double play. He'll take ball 1 down low. I wish I had been watching George Hendrick as Chipper Jones jumped on that first pitch fastball. Somewhere he had to have said to somebody, that's what I'm talking about. In the left field. Could be enough to score Chipper Jones. Gant's throw will be cut off. An RBI for McGriff. It's 5-2.
And with the Braves now back up by 3 runs, and Dave Duncan's going to head out to the mound now. If you go back to the beginning of Game 5 in the National League Championship Series last year, this is the 9th meeting between the Braves and the Cardinals. The Braves have won 7 of the first 8, are leading in this one, and have outscored St. Louis during that stretch of 8.5 games now, 59-15. They have just clobbered Cardinal pitching.
And it shouldn't surprise you. See, a lot of times when we see Dave Duncan come out, remember Dave Duncan, one of the most respected pitching coaches in all of baseball, was not a pitcher. He was a catcher. And many times when he comes out, he'll carry on first part of his conversation with his catcher as he did there. He's going to leave Stottlemyre in for the time being. There is activity in the Cardinal bullpen. There's a look at T.J. Matthews. But the Braves have stacked up 3 in a row here in the 6th inning, double and single. And the lead back to 3. It's 5-2. Still nobody out. McGriff at first for Ryan Klesko. Klesko 0 for 2. Downstairs and 1-0. As much as Chipper Jones has enjoyed Stottlemyre, Klesko may be a little bit the other way. He's only 2 out of 11 with no extra base hits. In the air, the frustration will continue. The shallow center. Langford has it. Out number 1 in the 6th inning. And you can clearly see the frustrations of Ryan Klesko. McGriff makes his way back to first. He'll stand there for Javi Lopez.
Frustrations, yes, but back to your point about George Hendrick, still very aggressive up there.
Yeah.
He hasn't had much luck against Stottlemyre, but he went up there, took a ball, then the first strike he got, he fouled off, then the next pitch, a fastball, went right after it, didn't get it, but not getting behind in the count by taking strikes.
Methinks here is one person who doesn't take many strikes. He does there, and McGriff's on the move, and he stole that. Oh, he picked Stottlemyre's pocket. McGriff had a run and jump. That's his first swipe of the year. But he just ducked his head and took off.
And he does this every year. He makes you forget about him as a base runner. And you saw Stottlemyre paying very little attention to him. And when that little attention is paid to Fred McGriff, he will take off. Last year, he stole 7 bases. And almost always in situations like that where the pitcher was almost ignoring him.
It's been almost a year. Inside 1-1. Javi Lopez did take that because everybody in the park except Stottlemyre knew that McGriff was running. One and 2. Got him. Strikeout number 8 on a perfect pitch by Stottlemyre. Second out in the inning.
Last place, Javi expected to see that. See the shift by DeFelice at the end, too. DeFelice had set up outside, then shifted inside. You see him moving. And Stottlemyre nails the target inside corner. 8th strikeout.
2 gone for Mark Lemke. Lemke hitless in 2 trips. He is one of the strikeout victims, and he grounded to Mabry at first. Lemke 1 out of 10 against Stottlemyre. There's ball 1 upstairs. You see a lot of hitters during the season maybe hit 400 for April and then 190 for May and then back up to 330. 2-0 to Lemke, and then maybe down to 212, bouncing back and forth. But Lemke almost always seems to be around 249 to 261, doesn't he? Somewhere in that neighborhood. I mean, doesn't matter what the month is. Oh, sure, he'll have a hot one every now and then. Good pitch, 2-1. Mark around 270. He'll drop down to 240, but you're going to find him around the 255.
Yeah, not a lot of fluctuations in his average over the course of the year.
On the ground, Stottlemyre's got it. He'll make the play. There is out number 3, but it comes after the Braves pick up 2 more on 3 hits and leave a runner stranded. Through 6. Braves on top 5-2. Look like changes are in the offing for the Braves. We'll be right back.
In the Braves batting order, Tony Graffinino at second base, now batting in the 9-hole. And the new pitcher batting in the number 7 spot, right-hander Mike Bielecki, making his staff-leading 22nd appearance of the year. 1-3 with a 2.63 ERA, couple of saves in there. The league's just hitting 186 against him. He's averaging better than a strikeout per inning.
Good control.
Nagel worked 6, allowed 5 hits, a couple of runs, walked 2, struck out 3, is in line to win his 7th straight game of the year if the bullpen can hold it here. And Mike Gallego will lead things off in the 7th for St. Louis. He's popped to second. He's flied to left. Braves up 5-2. 1 ball, no strikes. Expos here tomorrow night. Terrell Wade against Dustin Hermanson. And we will begin the evening by asking the same questions that we have asked every year in the month of May when the Expos show up. Did you guys think you were going to be where you are? Yep. This deep into the season, they're playing above expectations again.
Isn't Dustin Hermanson that hard thrower that was in San Diego?
They had groomed him to be a relief pitcher. Felipe Alou took a look at him and said, I can make him into a pretty good starter. And we'll get our first look at him tomorrow night as a starter. Here's the 2-1. 2-2. Mark Sweeney has moved on deck. He'll bat for Stottlemyre. Outside corner. Another called 3rd strike against the Cardinals.
And there is no mystery to Mike Bielecki's pitching the last couple of years. He goes right outside, stays right there, doesn't try to go knee-high outside corner. It just happened that was. He just takes the inner 2/3 of the plate out of play. So if you're going to hit something, you're going to have to go outside and get it. Good pitch.
Now Mark Sweeney, who on the year is at just 171. He's 3 out of 11, though, as a pinch hitter. And coming into this year, his lifetime average as a pinch hitter was 327. He's a good reserve player. And there's another pinch hit single for Sweeney.
Now, see, he's had all night to sit over on the bench and talk to George Hendricks.
And look what he did. Jumped on the first pitch, got a base hit.
George said, Bielecki's going to come at you for strike 1. Did he just high-five Mike Franken? You know what he's saying to the kid? There you are. That's what we've been talking about all night long.
That'll bring up Royce Clayton, who is 0 for 3, and who was really cooled off. He was a hot hitter coming into this series. Hit safely in 10 of 11, but he's hitless in his last 10 at-bats over the last 3 games, and his average has dropped to 256. 1 ball, no strikes.
One of those good news, bad news nights for Stottlemyre. Got 8 strikeouts. That equals his season high, but he's down 5-2.
1 ball, no strikes on Clayton. 1 man out.
Stottlemyre has the look of a guy that should be on a Delta Force team. I mean, he is dead serious, isn't he?
Yes, he's a competitor.
Yes, he is.
He goes out there to beat you any way he can. There's a strike in the outside corner, and the count 2-1. One out here in the seventh. Braves up 5-2. Alan Embry is up now in the Atlanta bullpen. Another strike taken by Clayton. 2-2. And it's not just the fact that they're taking strikes, they're taking fastballs for strikes. That's what has Hendricks upset.
See, he's just saying there's no mystery. He's not going to come inside. He's not going to bust you off the plate. Till you get 2 strikes on you, you look on the outer half, dive if you have to, dive into it and do some damage.
Here's the 2-2. Bounces one into right field. That's a base hit. Down to second goes Sweeney. And the Cardinals have 2 men on with 1 out. So a pair of singles off by Lecky, and that'll bring up Danny Schaefer, who has walked, grounded out to third, and singled. Schaefer playing third tonight in place of Gary Gaetti, who's out with a bad knee. Added to the long list of Cardinal injuries this year. Outside corner 0-1.
Gaetti has reached that age that if you stick around long enough in sports, you'll find it where you can hurt yourself opening a box of cereal. He's been a durable player, though. He did some damage at Minnesota.
Out of play, 0-2. The count now on Schaefer. There's Gary Gaetti.
See, and getting back to what you were saying about George Hendricks' theory, if you take that theory a step further, look for a fastball to hit, don't take strikes. That was a wasted swing there.
And he finds himself down on the count 0-2. Once a game, Javi tries to catch a runner sleeping down there in this situation with runners first and second. He's been successful a few times at this, but not that time.
Got a pitch to do it on, too. Up and away, his momentum was already headed toward first base.
Here's the 1-2. And the breaker misses outside. 2-2. Ron Gant waiting on deck. Here's the 2-2. In the air, straight away, center, fairly deep. Kenny Lofton drifting back, makes the catch. Tagging at second is Sweeney. He'll move over to third. Holding at first is Clayton. 2 outs. And the batter will be Ron Gant.
Gant, who stands pretty close to the plate, Pete. Now, here's a situation where all it's going to cost him, if he's wrong, is 1 strike. Gant is strong enough to hit it out of any park in the country, including Glacier National. If he looks for a pitch on the outside part, dives in, and if it's a strike, he can hit it over the right field fence.
He has flied out to right twice tonight, grounded out to third his other time up. Has homered in each of the last 2 games. First and third, 2 outs. Took a shot that way, but got under it. Michael Tucker is capped under it. And Bilecki strands him at first and third. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Still 5-2 Atlanta.
Big stain on deck. Look ahead. You got the Expos coming in for 2. Thursday's an off day. Then the Braves will head out west, where there will be 3 in Dodger Stadium, 2 of which that we will have for you here on TBS, and then down to San Diego for 2 more. Pitching matchups for that Expo Series have been announced. Hermanson against Wade, and then Bullinger against Maddox on Wednesday. Remember that Wednesday game now is a day game. That's our Olympic stain on deck look ahead.
And as we go to the bottom half of the 7th, left-hander Lance Painter takes over for the Cardinals, replacing Todd Stottlemyre. Painter, another, it seems like you say this about every Cardinal that checks into a game, another who just got off the disabled list. And thus is making just his 5th appearance of the year. He will face Jeff Blauser to lead it off here in the bottom of the 7th. Jeff tonight has struck out, grounded out to 3rd. A ball and no strikes. One and one. In the right center field and caught by Gallego. Soft line drive, one gone. That'll bring up Tony Graffinino for the first time. Graffinino 259 for the year. No extra base hits yet. So we've talked about this before when he's gotten a chance to play in these double switch situations late in the game. It seems like he's always doing something that you haven't seen him do before, whether it's offensively or defensively.
Believe me, that doesn't go unnoticed by Bobby Cox.
No, he's climbing very high on Bobby's list. Showed bunt there. Took a strike. 0-1. This one might stay in play. Back near the screen. No, into the crowd about 3 or 4 rows deep. And the count 0-2 now on Graffinino. Cardinals have an unusual schedule. They go home after this game, but only for 2 days. They play the Pirates twice, and they're right back out on the road again.
Had to stop there to refuel their charger.
2 at home with the Pirates, then they go to San Francisco and Colorado, while the Braves are out in Los Angeles and San Diego. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Lance Painter, the former Colorado Rocky. So you have to take that into consideration. You look at his career numbers. An ERA of 5.65 lifetime. Grounds one left side does Graffinino. Schaefer. He's had a nice night over there defensively. 2 down. And back now to the top of the order, and Kenny Lofton. Lofton got it started for the Braves in the first inning when he reached on Royce Clayton's error. Michael Tucker followed with a bloop single. And then Chipper Jones, a 3-run homer to get the Braves going in the very first inning. He's also singled and struck out.
Painter has a big breaking ball. It's easy to see why a left-hander would give up on it like that.
One ball, 1 strike. Out of play, 1-2. Braves trying to do something they haven't done against the Cardinals since 1991. That sweep a 4-game series from them. You don't have that many 4-game series anymore. Most of the series nowadays are 3 games or 2 games, but it's been 6 years since the Braves have swept a 4-game set from the Cardinals. This is going to be a tough play. Nobody's covering first. Lofton's got a base hit.
And Painter hurt himself.
So a Cardinal team that's already been racked with injuries this year may have another one to a player that just got off the disabled list.
This is a play where somebody's got to decide early that I got the ball, you get the bag. Let's see if we can see what happens to Painter. It looked like he was, as he tried to plant, it looks more like a hip injury, doesn't it? Watch right there. The way he grabbed himself looked like a hamstring or a hip, didn't it?
Well, whatever it is, he's going to have to come out. And the Cardinals have another player go down. So because of the injury to Lance Painter, Tony La Russa will have to make the Bell South call to the bullpen.
Lance Painter might have done. Nasty pitch. Right about here, he seems to hit off balance and then just stop. Grabbed his wallet there like he may have hurt his hip or something, and you can see that they do not need another injury. Run through that list. Jackson, Osborne, Honeycutt, 3 pitchers that mean a lot to this staff. Mejia, Bell, backup role players, but Pagnozzi, Jordan, and Dimitri Young, that's 3 guys out of the heart of that lineup.
And keep in mind they had Ray Lankford on the disabled list for the first 3 weeks of the season, and they've also had Gary Gaetti miss a little over a week with a nagging injury that wasn't quite serious enough to put him on the list. Delino DeShields missed about a week with an injury, not serious enough to put him on the list. So even the guys who aren't on that disabled list have been banged up. Danny Jackson, by the way, is ready to come off the list. He's going to pitch 1 game in that Pirates series in St. Louis. New pitcher T.J. Matthews, 3rd pitcher of the night for the Cardinals.
He'd already been throwing some. Remember, he gets as much time as he needs, but
yeah, he shouldn't need much. He was up an inning ago. This will be his 15th appearance. You see his numbers. Braves leading at 5-2. They have Lofton at first with 2 outs. And the batter will be Michael Tucker. And speaking of Michael Tucker, I'm sure many of you are aware that a couple of days ago, Jermaine Dye, one of the players that was traded to Kansas City in the trade that brought Michael Tucker over here, who got off to a very slow start with Kansas City, was sent down. Well, he's homered tonight for Omaha. He's playing at Omaha now in the American Association. And the Royals still very hopeful that Jermaine will be back in the very near future and contribute to that club. I think he just needs a little playing time after missing a couple of weeks with an injury himself.
Well, they were starting to platoon him some, and he was hitting left-handers, but they did want to get him some at-bats against both righties and lefties. That's why it's so easy, and we all do it, to evaluate a trade, to evaluate a streak, both
and
good and bad, in the now.
Yeah, everybody intends to evaluate the trades that are made within the first 6 weeks after they're made. That should be, and probably will be, a good deal for both teams long term. Michael Tucker already paying immediate dividends, and just knowing Jermaine Dye and his work ethic and his ability.
The classy young man.
You feel that he is going to be a major contributor to Kansas City, if not this month, sometime this year, and in the future. And here's Michael Tucker, 2 for 3. Single, a double, a strikeout. Had a good cut, fouled it back, 0-1.
We've talked to Kenny Lofton some about his hitting. He has a couple of swings he can use. Lofton is probably most comfortable, most effective trying to hit to the left side, but he can turn on one inside. I think Tucker has 2 swings too. We have seen him open up and just hit some rockets to right field, but I think you were saying a little bit earlier, he can really drive at the left center, and that's the one that seems most comfortable.
Here's the 0-1. Low and inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, the point I was trying to make before, started to make before about Tucker was when he came over from Kansas City, you didn't hear much about him having a lot of power. But there are legendary stories of Michael Tucker as a college player hitting some not 400 feet, but 500 feet home runs. There's another line drive, right center field, base hit. That might get Lofton all the way in. It surely will now. It goes to the wall. Lofton will score. Tucker heading for 3rd. He has a single, a double, and now a triple. And the Braves lead it 6-2.
Well, we hadn't heard that much about his power. We hadn't heard that much about his speed, but Michael Tucker can run. 3rd triple of the season. There wasn't any doubt about this one when he got out of the left-handed batter's box. Good sinker, hammered, but he doesn't hesitate. There's first gear, second gear. Now what's third gear? He can run.
24th RBI of the year for Tucker. Here's Chipper Jones. He has homered, walked, doubled, and driven in 4 tonight. A ball and no strikes. All the damage tonight being done by the top part of the batting order. Top 4 hitters in the order have scored all the runs. They've got all the hits. They've got all the RBIs. Spots 5 through 9 in the order are 0 for 15. 2-0 the count.
I like it every now and then when we have those plays with gnat sound.
Yeah, I do too.
Because you think that sounded loud to you, that ball coming off the bat.
It sounded louder to T.J. Matthews.
You got it.
Sounded like the sound barrier was being broken. Here's the 1-1 now to Chipper. Grounds one to the right side. Off the glove of Gallegos. Skipping into center field. Michael Tucker scores. And the Braves now lead 7-2 on the error by Gallego.
I think this was such a routine ground ball that Mike Gallego thought he could handle it side saddle. He actually had time to get in front of it. Tried to backhand it off the heel of the glove, off the foot. Second error of the night for the Cardinals. Both have contributed to runs.
Now Fred McGriff. He takes a strike. He has struck out, hit into a double play, and singled, and stolen a base, and driven in a run. One ball, one strike. Brady Raggio up now in the Cardinal bullpen. 2-1 the count. It's been a struggle all season for the Cardinals, just trying to put out a healthy lineup. And this series they have just not looked good. Fly ball deep left, but playable for Gant. And that's the third out of the inning. All the damage coming after 2 were out in the inning. The Braves add 2 more, one of them unearned. It's 7-2 Atlanta.
Let's take a look at our Delta scoreboard. San Diego had 5 home runs. Finley had 3 of them as they slugged Cincinnati. Jeff Juden is now 4-0 for Montreal. John Olerud's home run, the difference for the Mets over Colorado. The wind was blowing out in Chicago, and the Cubs got more up into the breeze. Right now in Philadelphia, Houston has had home runs from Barry, Biggio, and a pair by Bagwell. Rico Brogna, who is for real, has a couple of home runs for Philadelphia. There's only one game going on in the American League. It's starting up in about 20 minutes. That's the Delta scoreboard.
Those Cubs winning today. Remember, they started out the year losing 14 straight. They've gone 15 and 13 since they opened the year with that 14-game losing streak. So they've bounced back a little. Still a long upward climb for him. Alan Embry is the new Atlanta pitcher here in the 8th inning, making his 18th appearance. His ERA right at 3 now. And he's averaging better than a strikeout per inning. 13 strikeouts in 12 innings. Ray Lankford has homered, walked, and flied out. 0-1.
Bad news for our Lance Painter. We just heard he re-injured that right hamstring. That's an injury, Pete. It seems like once you get it, it just never goes away till the winter.
The 0-1 is upstairs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Foul back to count 1-2. I like to get to the ballpark early because I like to talk to managers and players before they start doing their work. I have never beaten Alan Embry to the ballpark.
Really?
He is one of the early arrivals every day. One, 2 on the way. Still a ball and 2 strikes.
And what do you find him doing? Just hanging out?
Hanging out, walking around, talking to folks. It's usually a game on in the players' lounge or some afternoon action from somewhere. Count remains a ball and 2 strikes on Langford. Braves bullpen active again. Mark Wohlers, Brad Klontz are each up.
Show, guy, if you have that shot in a truck, show that again. I don't think I've ever seen a hitter. Sorry to talk out loud. I guess I could have hit the talk back, fellas, but I don't think I've ever seen a hitter. Like, look at the bottom hand. He's just got three fingers on it, and then he curls it. I'll bet you somewhere in his hitting, he was gripping that so tight that he wasn't able to push back, and he wasn't able to trigger the swing.
That is unusual. That's very unusual.
But you watch how relaxed it is now. He'll grip it. Just lay it on there. His hands are very relaxed right there. But as the pitch comes, he tightens it up, pushes it back. Here you go. Take a look. Watch this. Close up. Boy, it's cocked when he pushes it back, isn't it?
It is. That's about the most unusual grip. And there's another line drive off Langford's bat for a base hit.
He may have everybody in baseball doing that tomorrow morning. I know one thing. There'll be a bunch of kids trying it.
Yeah, and the most unusual thing I'd seen, I think, up to that point was when Robbie Thompson one year experimented with a overlapping grip, like a golfer's grip on the bat, when he was playing with San Francisco.
Remember Vic Wirtz? Open stance, he used to just lay the bat back in his right hand. He was a right-handed hitter. Foot close to the plate. He'd hold it with his left hand, bat parallel, and then just lay it back and forth in his right hand. Anything that works. There is no one way to do it right.
Micah Franklin 1 for 3. Ball 1. Crowd tonight of 33,497 for the final game of this series. And the weather cooperated. One ball, one strike. Braves leading at 7-2 or in the top half of the 8th inning. Into the seats, a ball and 2 strikes. A win tonight would be the 30th of the year for Atlanta. They've only lost 13 games. The earliest the Braves ever won 30 games previously was by their 46th game. That happened last year. So this club is already off to the best start it's ever been off to in Atlanta.
That sign you just saw from Bobby Cox was letting Fred McGriff know he wants him to be behind the base runner. McGriff has relayed that to Embry.
And the 1-2 pitch. Still a ball and 2 strikes.
A left-hander should know that because he's standing there looking at him, but you never want to take any chances. You want to make sure that he doesn't come set, looking at the home plate, looking down, and then decide to toss over there and have his first baseman be 4 or 5 steps backwards.
In the left center field, Lofton on the run. He gets there. Firing back toward first. But Langford gets back. 1 down.
I think Kenny Lofton had that all along. He just wanted to put a little deke on Langford because he kind of cruised over. And then when he grabbed it, he grabbed that whirl and threw right away. Really think he was trying to deke Langford into going all the way down to second.
That's out number 1 here in the 8th. Now John Mabry had an RBI single his last time up. He's also flied to left and lined out to short. Nothing in 1. Cardinals started out like this last year. They were 17-26 to start the year, then turned it on and wound up winning their division. And that could still happen this year in that division. But they're going to have to start playing better than they have in this series. See, their record right now identical to what it was a year ago through 41 games.
Difference in that race this year is going to be one 5 or 6 game winning streak.
The bat sails all the way down past the Atlanta Braves dugout as Embry records his first strikeout. 2 gone.
I have a theory question for you, Pete. I know you have done some radio shows recently on how computers have, and some computer programs and setups have measured the effectiveness of second baseman. And I'm giving you the right to have for your ball club the 9 best players. Do you want the 9 best players that you watch and scout and say that are the best, or do you want the 9 best that the computer picks out?
Oh, well, I would not go by what the computer says.
You would pick the scouts who watch?
I would pick the scouts because there are those intangibles the computer can't measure. There's a line drive off the bat of DeFelice, deep left center field. Kenny Lofton's going to play this one off the wall, and Ray Lankford's going to score. RBI double for Mike DeFelice. He drives in his 4th run of the year. That makes it a 7-3 game.
Well, the reason I asked that with Mike DeFelice up there is that in watching him over this weekend, he hasn't hit a ball this hard too many times. He's shown power there. But in watching him over this weekend, he's a young guy that I grant you would not rate high on your computers, but he obviously understands the second half of that equation of what a battery is. And I know there are a number of players in this ballpark tonight on both ball clubs who probably wouldn't be 1 or 2 in the computer.
Tony Graffinino makes the play on Gallego for out number 3. So 1 run across for the Cardinals in the 8th inning. We'll talk a little more about that bottom half of the inning. It's 7-3 now, Atlanta.
Stay with TBS right here as Carol Kane stars in the chilling suspense thriller that led to the invention of caller ID. It's called When a Stranger Calls Back, part of the movies to die for. That's coming up right here next on the Superstation.
And we have yet another pitcher for the Cardinals here in the bottom half of the 8th inning, right-hander Brady Raggio. You can see the numbers he has put together. Pitched in Arkansas last year with a 9-10 record, where he played for former Braves pitcher Rick Mailer, who managed down there last year and is managing there again this year, and has Arkansas in first place in their division in the Texas League. See the numbers on Raggio. A lot of base runners, 28 hits and 9 walks in 17 innings. But back to what you were talking about down a half inning ago about the computer rankings and all of the things that are being done now to rate players. You know, you can take a player like Mark Lemke on the Atlanta Braves. He does not show up in the upper half of any of the offensive categories, but you certainly want Mark Lemke on your ball club. And the intangibles that can't be measured by computers are, when does a guy play his best? When does a guy get a big hit? When does a guy make a big play? The percentages of fielding percentages, things like that. Yes, they all factor in, and over the long haul, you're probably going to get a good year out of any of those guys that rank near the top. But there are some guys that don't rank near the top of those lists who are clutch players. And you got to factor age in there. How old are these players now? So if you're picking a team from scratch, there's a lot of things you got to look at, and the computer would just be a part of it.
Anymore, too, I'm convinced that the earned run average of a closer is not as big as it used to be, because now closers, there are nights, and we've seen it with Mark Wohlers, where maybe he hasn't worked for 4 days, and Bobby Coxon's going to say, I'm going to get him a couple of innings in, or I'm going to get him an inning in. And guys like Dennis Eckersley and Mark Wohlers and all the good ones seem to thrive on having the game on the line and runners out there. Let them start an inning. They might not get through the inning. But when it's on the line, the point you brought up, the best comes out.
2-2 the count on Klesko. Full count now, 3-2. I think a good example of that to show you how a scout or how scouting can figure into something that rankings can't. There's a drive by Klesko to right field. Micah Franklin's not going to catch up with this one, and one hops the wall out there. Klesko on his way to second, and a leadoff double to start the bottom half of the 8th inning. And let's go back to one of those trades John Sherholtz made for the end of spring training when Jermaine Dye and the pitcher Walker was traded over to Kansas City for Michael Tucker and Keith Lockhart, and everybody said, Michael who? Because there's no list on which how he would fit in with the chemistry on this team and what he would bring to this ball club. A left-handed bat, speed, good defense. But there's a case where if you're out looking for a player to improve your ball club, his name would probably not have been at the top of the list. And especially nowadays when you're putting a club together, you got to figure the economics of it too.
And one of the things they do here with the Braves is that what I cited were two extremes. You know, the computer list or the scouting report. But what they do is they blend two together. I had the privilege this spring. John Sherholtz popped up his computer and rolled through a couple of players because I was curious. And I said, John, how about this guy? What do you... And he has his scouts put their reports in. It's in a data bank. And then he can pop it up. And he said, well, let's see. This guy says this and this. His speed is this. His speed is this. And then they also have the same printouts that you were talking about before where they're ranked. So the good organizations do a blend.
The ball and 2 strikes on Lopez. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th. Braves up 7-3. And the 1-2 to Lopez is blown away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Javi tonight hitless. He has struck out a couple of times, popped up.
I know it's a good thing baseball doesn't have those physical tool profiles like football does. Greg Maddux couldn't play.
Right. Now, there's a lot more to figuring out who is going to be a player for you than size and strength in this game.
Now take a look at Greg Maddux. Now he could fit anywhere. I remember a guy that I play with, but look at Greg Maddux. Wally Cox will play his life story. What does he call you? I keep forgetting.
Mr. Smithers.
And do you call him Mr. Peepers or?
2 and 2 the count.
He always winds up on pennant-winning ball clubs, and if you go by just the physical profile, Rafael Belliard probably wouldn't have had a major league career or a shot at it.
That's one of the things that I think makes baseball so great. There are certain things that in football and basketball and some of the other sports you have to go by strength and you have to go by speed because that's what those sports are built around, or size in basketball. Baseball, there have been great players that have been 5'5". There have been great players that have been 6'8". And there have been great players that weighed 250, and there have been great players that weighed 130. Lopez retired, 1 down. And I should say Keith Lockhart will come up now in the spot that was Mark Lemke's, where the pitcher was hitting after the double switch.
Here's a guy I'll bet you Bobby Cox would like to get some more at bats. A little bit of a dilemma now with Graffinino showing so well. Mark Lemke is your regular second baseman, and you got to get some at bats for both these guys.
In the air, deep left field. Gant drifting back and makes the catch on the warning track. Lockhart gave that ball a ride. But Gant there for the catch, 2 down.
Now see, there's another good example right there. If you pick up the numbers on Keith Lockhart, here we are a fourth of the way through the season. If you look at raw numbers, you're not going to be too pleased. But before the year is over, I guarantee you he is going to win a ton of ball games for the Braves. The best in the American League last year.
2 gone here in the 8th inning. Jeff Blauser, who's 0 for 3, steps in. He went, says Greg Bonet, 0-1.
Pretty good package of intangibles right there, huh?
And this guy? Oh, yeah. Saw another interview with him last night where he hinted that retirement is one of the options he is considering at the end of the year. And he made a very interesting statement about himself as a person. He said, baseball is what I do. It is not who I am. I think he will play. I don't think he is going to retire. Especially if he keeps having the kind of year he's having here. But he has thrown that out there as a possibility.
Well, if he does, I hope he buys a winery.
Part of the interview, which appeared on one of the local Sunday night sports shows here, part of the interview, he said, he said there are not many people who have an opportunity to walk away from whatever they do on their own terms.
He's right.
And baseball is certainly one of those. Jeff 0 for 4 tonight. We go to the 9th inning. Braves leading at 7-3. Braves 3 outs away from their first 4-game sweep of the Cardinals since 1991. And the earliest stage of any season for the Atlanta Braves that they have won 30 games if Mark Wohlers can hold them here. DeShields hitting .270 for the year with a couple of homers and 9 RBIs. He is batting for Brady Raggio to lead off the 9th. Oh, 1. Another intangible you got to throw in there, Don, when you're talking about rating ball players and deciding who you want on your ball club. It's the work ethic,
yes.
The work habits. Because some players come to the major leagues, and what you see is what you get. They never get any better. Some players come up and work and work and work and get better and better and better. And you're looking at one of them out there on the mound right now.
It's funny you bring that up. I was just thinking about, remember what they used to say, he has no movement and he doesn't have a second pitch.
Now he's got both because he's worked at it. And he's got much better control now because he's worked at it.
And a lot more confidence. I believe if you're going to have a club that's made up with a number of veteran players on it, their work ethic may be more important than the other people too.
And there was that second pitch. Striking out to Lionel DeShields, 1 down.
Fork ball, split finger, whatever you want to call it. Nasty. Straight down. Right over the top of it. You have to gear for the heat. Any movement at all is going to be hard to adjust to.
25 strikeouts now for Wohlers in 17 1/3 innings this year. Here's Royce Clayton. But especially with a hard-throwing pitcher, as many years as you played and as many years as I've covered baseball, how many hard throwers have you seen come along that lasted a year, maybe, if that,
yeah, in the front door, out
then you never heard from them again? Because that's all they had.
But then you go right back to it. How many of the first-round picks will be big kids that rated 96 on the radar gun?
True.
That we won't see again.
1 ball, 1 strike.
I think the intangibles only start counting when you get to the big leagues.
In the air to right, Michael Tucker on the spot.
I love this. We talk about it a lot. Michael Tucker, that should have been a double. But it's knowing how your pitcher's going to pitch the guy. It's knowing where the hitter hits the ball. And it's knowing that your pitcher is going to put the ball there most of the time. 9 out of 10 teams, that's a double.
Even brought a smile to Michael's face as if to say, wow.
Gotcha.
I was in the right spot there, wasn't I?
I think he's getting a nice reception out there in right field.
2 gone, and Willie McGee on the pinch hit for the Cardinals. You see Willie's numbers for the year. He had hamstring problems that have kept him out of a lot of games this year. He's been limited almost strictly to pinch hitting. He's done a good job at that, 6 for 16. strike. Into center field, base hit for Willie McGee. That is the 10th Cardinal hit. They've out-hit the Braves tonight. They've got 10 hits, the Braves 9, but the Braves have bunched them. And the Braves 7-3 lead.
And the Braves got the lead early.
And now Ron Gant, who's going to be glad to see this series end. He's 2 for 17. Both those hits home runs. Ron kind of shaking his head after the game Saturday night, talking about his slow start. He said, I never get off to a good start. And you look up his numbers, and he's right. His lifetime batting average first 6 weeks of the season, about 210. That's right about where he is now, 219. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two outs, runner first in the 9th. Here's the 1-1. That caught the outside corner. Ball, 2 strikes now on Gant. And now this crowd, a little over 33,000 on hand here tonight, on their feet, urging Mark Wohlers to finish it off with this pitch. Here comes the 1-2. Struck him out, and the Braves have swept the Cardinals and reached the 30-win mark at the earliest point in Atlanta history. 30-13 on the year now, as the Braves win the finale of this 4-game series by a final score of 7-3.
And they win it in great part thanks to the contributions of Michael Tucker. He is our AutoZone player of the game. 3 for 4, single, double, triple, 3 runs. The 6th inning was particularly good for Michael Tucker. He had all 3 putouts in the top of the 6th inning. The first 2 came easily, not the final out in the inning. Nice diving catch. And what does he do coming up leading off? Double. And then he scored ahead of Chipper Jones and Fred McGriff. Michael Tucker had himself a night. He's our AutoZone player of the game. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we'll talk to a Brave and give you the rest of the totals.
Braves win at 7-3 to complete the 4-game sweep of the Cardinals, and you might say the difference in the game, the 4 RBIs by Chipper Jones tonight. A 3-run homer in the first inning, a RBI double in the 6th. Chipper joins us, and Chipper, going into this game, you've had success before against Todd Stottlemyre. Is there a little bit of a comfort factor when you're going up against a guy that you've hit successfully in the past?
Well, it's hard to get comfortable against Stottlemyre because he's you know, in and out, and he's off speed and whatnot, and you know, after the home run in the first, he really settled down and pitched pretty well for the next 3, 4, 5 innings, and then we got to him again right before they pulled him.
You're in the heart of what has become, in many people's opinion, a much more balanced offensive lineup this year. Do you guys see it that way?
Well, we do. We're less inclined to sit back and wait for the 3-run home run like we have in the past. With the 2 speedsters we got up at the top of the lineup, it's easy for us to manufacture runs, and it's easy for us to go out and put some big innings together, not just with the home run, but string 4, 5, 6 hits together and put 4, 5, 6 runs on the board.
Because of that, because of the balance in this offense right now, and the fact that the Braves have continued to get the strong pitching, especially from the starting rotation, and the bullpen much improved this year, you're hearing a lot of people say now this is the best club of all the Atlanta clubs that have played here in the 90s. Now, you've been around most of them. What's your opinion? I know it's very early in the year to be making statements like that, but how do you feel about that?
Well, I feel that this is the best team that I've played on. I can't speak for the ones before I got here, but this is a much better balanced ball club. It's a great defensive ball club. Like you say, as the pitching goes, we're going to go. Now with a better balanced offense, we're scoring some runs and giving the pitchers some cushions, which hasn't happened in the past.
You had a little bit of a groin pull earlier. Seems to be 100% now. Did that bother you on either side of the plate more than the other?
I would say more so on the left side than the right side, just because my plant foot, and I have to pivot on that foot from the left-handed side. And coming out of the box, it puts a little strain on it. So that's the way I pulled it in St. Louis a couple weeks ago. It's not quite 100%. I felt it again when I scored on Freddie Single tonight, but I'll give it a go at 80 or 90%.
Okay, Chipper, congratulations. Another big night. Chipper Jones, 2 for 3, a double, a home run, 4 RBIs. And for being our guest, Chipper Jones receives an Advantix 3600 camera from Kodak. We'll be back to wrap it up right after this.
Thanks,
Chipper.